Hello everyone, this is Coin Help You, and today we're going to look at 22 Jefferson Nickel varieties that you need to be looking for. Now, I cherry picked these. These are coins that even in low circulated grades, that if you got a bunch of rolls at the bank and you look through them and you found one of these and spent maybe half a day, it'd still be worth your time looking through those nickels. Now, let's get on to the Jefferson Nickels. This is PCGS Coin Facts, and the new Coin Facts has really turned into a great resource to find values for your coins, but also the varieties. The values listed here are high retail. Typically, gray sheet can be 30% less than this value, but that's not always the case. I'm giving you an average. But this is a really good resource, and I'm using it to show you these nickels because they have the images and they have the information. And I recommend that if you want to study these or go over this again, just go to PCGS Coin Facts and look it up for yourself and study the images. I want to show you this. As the first one is a 39, and this is a reverse of 1940, which means that the steps are pretty boxy and straight, and that it's a double die obverse. Okay, and then you can scroll down here, and it has an auction result, but also has a value of $45 and very fine 30. That's very important. When a coin has a value of $45 and very fine 30, that's kind of rare, and that's circulated. If you need to know very fine 30, you can always go to their photo grade, or you can go to my website and look up our photo grade. Now, one thing you can do here, I'm not going to do it for every coin, but you need to do this if you really want to study these. You can click on the image and it will load the image up. Sometimes it takes a little time to load. And as you can see, when you get that loaded, you can look at it a little bit closer. You can actually hit the little download button up there, and then you can expand it, so you can kind of see the coin a little bit better. So that's what I wanted to show you, and you can click out, just click in certain areas. All you have to do is click in and look at the areas that are, see the doubled. This right here is not, this is actually die deterioration. That's one thing that people confuse on these nickels. So that way you understand that on each of these, all you have to do is go in and click the image, and then click the little download looking button, and then you can click on whatever area you want to look at. And that's this. I really recommend the PCGS Coin Facts on this. Here is the next one. It's a 1939, and it's the double die reverse, as you can see. And if you wanted to click on the image, you could click on it. Down here in very fine 35, it's worth $100. And like I said, on the reverses here, you're definitely wanting to look for the reverse types. There's two of them, and some of those varieties are worth looking for. Here's a 41 D over D. This is the FS501. There's no image of this coin, so you're looking for a D over D mint mark, but in very fine 35, it's worth $32. 1941 S. This is the large S. And you can scroll over and you take a look, and you can, sometimes they'll have a comparison of the large and the small, and you can click on either one of them and enlarge it. So the value on this one's $20 and very fine 30. Not as quite as value as some of the other ones, but if you spend part of your day and you're looking through some rolls and you find one of these, 20 bucks, I mean, it's better than going out and blowing your money on at the casino or on a lottery ticket. At least you can get your money back out of the nickels that you get at the bank. Now here is the 1941 S over S. And as I said, you can look at the images, and you can always click on them and make them larger. You can kind of see it there in a little bit. At the bottom there, of the little trumpet end of the S, you can see a little bit. Down here, this one in very fine 30 is worth $60. Here's the 1941 S. And now this is the inverted mint mark. This is one of them that a lot of people will get confused. Usually the top part is smaller on an S, on one of these Jefferson Nickels. So if it looks smaller at the bottom, typically it could be inverted. And it's always good to compare it to one that's not inverted. That's the whole point of some of this. You've got to look at images of normal one and look at the image of what you think is inverted and put them side by side. Don't hurt to take pictures of them and blow them up on your computer screen either. And very fine 35, it's worth 60 bucks. 1942, this is a type 1 double die FS101. The type 1 means this 1942 is not the silver. Type 2s are silver, type 1's not. So this is not the silver alloy planchet. And as you can see, the mint mark's not over the building. That's how you know it's a type 1. And being the double die verse, you're looking for the double on this area here on the coin. This one you'll probably have to click to actually look at it in detail, but you can see a little bit there inside the W at the bottom. This one is worth $35 and very fine 35. 1942 type 1, here's another non-silver planchet. It's another double die verse. This is the second version for that year in mint mark. If it doesn't have a mint mark, that means it was struck at Philadelphia. Doesn't make it rare, doesn't mean anything. Very fine 35 is worth $30. Here's a 1942 D over D, and it's actually a D over horizontal D. I found one of these recently. This is your type 1. It's not on the silver because the mint mark's here, not up here. And there it is. Yeah, I have one of these I found in probably about AU condition, but I think it's been cleaned. As you can see, very fine 35 is worth $150. This one's a good one to find. I found a couple of them. When they grade out right, they're worth a lot of money. 1942, this is the type 2. It has a 35% silver alloy. This is the RPM, it's the FS501. And the mint mark you can see down at the bottom. If you look in the image here, you can see down at the bottom on the little blowout picture here. You can see where it's got the little split. This one is, there's not any examples of circulated, but if it's worth $400.65 and you can find one in circulated, it's going to be worth at least 100 bucks, maybe more. Because there's not been very many of them that are circulated. You really haven't established a value for these. Here's a 1942 S over S RPM. And these are large mint marks, very hard to miss. A lot of people find these, so they're a little bit harder to find. It doesn't make them rare, but they're scarce because these mint marks are so big, you can almost see the RPM with the naked eye. This one's worth $30 and very fine 35. It's a 1943. This is the double die verse, the FS102. You can kind of go in and see the little pop-up image there on the right side underneath the MS66 over here. This one is worth in 66 $500. But if it's worth this much, then typically you can kind of degrade the value down to the fact that it's going to be worth it if you can find one in circulation. Probably these have been found in rolls or maybe in mint sets, something like that. Here's a 1943, and it's a double die verse. Here shows some better images of the double areas. This one's worth $50 and very fine 35. So like I said, I've told you before in this, you can click on the image and you can study it further. I know I'm going a little bit fast. That's not my intent, but there's a lot to cover here, and sometimes videos, people get bored of them and they click off of them. Here's a 1943 over 2. This is a neat one to find. Looking for the little areas here where it has a little bit of the 2. The image is a little bit blurry, so I suggest just clicking on it or looking at the 3 for the 2 underneath it. This one here is worth $75.35. When I say 35, I mean very fine 35. Here's a 1945. This is a double die reverse. So you're looking at the reverse of the coin, and this is a pretty good bold doubled die. This one's worth $40 and very fine 35. Here's a 1946 D over D. And now we're getting into the type 1 planchet again that does not have the silver alloy in it. And you can see the D over D mint mark here. And it's worth $155.45. This is one of your rare RPMs to find. It's right up there with the D over horizontal D and the 42. Here's a 1946 D over inverted D. And you can see that here pretty plain. It's pretty obvious. This one here is also another nice RPM to find. Very fine 35. It is worth $185. 1946 double die obverse. You can kind of look at the area here. It's got some nice doubled areas on it, and it's pretty obvious. You can see it. And I do recommend clicking on the image to study it a little bit better, because some people are going to mistake die wear and die fatigue and that strike doubling on these coins for double dies, and they're not. You need to look at the images and compare it and match it up. Die marks are very important, as I always say. Very fine 35, $100. Here's the 1949. This is a D over S. It's a good one to find. It's always nice to find one that has two different mint marks. Very fine 35. It's worth $48. Here's the 1964 D over D. It's also an RPM. And there's the image. And very fine 35. It's worth $37. I know a lot of people, the 64D, you can find those pretty often. Some people mistake some of these for silver, and they're not silver. Like I said, the only ones that are silver are from 1942 with the mint mark on the back, on the top, above the Monticello, up to 1945. After that, they're just, the copper nickel. It shows you right here, the 75% copper and 25% nickel. 2005 piece metal double die verse and mint state 60. It's worth $100. So if it's circulated, it's probably still going to be worth $50 or $30. So it's going to be worth finding. 2005 D speared bison. Okay, this one people mistake all the time. This is the die gouge right here. It's right through the middle of the bison. Okay, a lot of people are calling it a speared bison when there's a die crack back here. That gave it some value. That gave that die crack some value. But it is not the actual speared bison. Okay? So be careful, because the prices are different. This one, and very fine 35, is worth $20. You can still find this one uncirculated. And you can find it in your pocket change for sure. And as you can see, the value goes up as the grade goes up. So it's very important here. The last one of the bunch. So anyways, I hope that helped you learn, or at least give you a resource to make you a list of what coins you can find in your change in the Jefferson Nickels. Like I said, this is just 22 of the most valuable that you can still find that have value when they're circulated. So, click that little bell, subscribe to the channel, give me a like, make a comment. All of it's appreciated, and have a great day.